a little bit about me, a little bit about my background. Though I'm not going to put too much time on this. So I'm an Air Force veteran. I'm retiring here in the next few months after about 32 years of service. Though I've been most of that time in the reserves. As such, that's allowed me really to also pursue a civilian career. And I've worked with all those companies in the middle. I have been in the entrepreneur space since 2008, when I was really part of a leadership team that kicked off a startup, raised money from VCs on a number of different firms. My current company, Smarter Reality, and I'll talk about that in a bit. It's my fourth, really my fourth startup company. Then I've also attended some good schools to help me get the skills I need to be here. So this is Smarter Reality. So we are a software development company with two verticals. The first vertical is we build commercial software for small and medium business. So we also do some work for larger companies as well. We do that out of our studio in Argentina, where we've got a team of about 60 folks down there. We really focus on helping people build the software that they think that they need. We've been doing that since 2015, and we've been growing it ever since. Always happy to talk to folks who are interested in software development. We build everything from mobile apps and web pages to enterprise resource planning. We've done niche social networks. Last year, we built a niche streaming site. Really, all software technology is kind of consolidated around the same basic technologies as mobile and web, especially around software as a service. And so if there's a potential technology leverage point where the tech that's out there today, what you can license today doesn't get it done, we're always happy to talk to people about how we might build a custom solution for you.
Frank, why Argentina?
So I had worked with dev teams in Europe and in Asia. And while there's an enormous amount of talent in those places, when it came time to start our own team, the issue is really around efficiency and time zone and culture. Efficiency comes to the fact that those teams are generally not working when you're working and when your clients are working. And that relates directly to time zone, where Argentina is about an hour ahead of Eastern time. And then the last is culture. One of the challenges you run into, especially in Asia, is that the way they live is very different than the way you and I live. Simple things like, for example, we spent 2 years working with a client on a very sophisticated healthcare staffing tool. Won't go into any more details on it because it's all proprietary to them. It was white labeled to them. But the bottom line is that's just not something that that you would necessarily see in India. It's just the issues addressed, the situations addressed, the nature of how it worked, just not something you'd see. In Argentina, what do you know? They have the exact same home healthcare issues. They see it exactly the same way. It's also very common around things like e-commerce, simulation, training. Again, Argentina, they watch the same TV we do. Great English language penetration, greater than 40%. So it's just a really solid fit for us. Also, there's also some happenstance. Leandro and I have known each other for many years, so it was very easy to set this up.
Great.
That is only half of our business, though. The other half is in modeling and simulation. We do this predominantly with the Department of Defense, really with the Department of the Air Force, Space Force, and Air Force. And we've done this through a program called the Small Business Innovation Research Program, which I'm happy to talk about later on. The key thing here is this one's all done in the U.S. with a U.S.-based team. Obviously, can't take that offshore. And we've had good success over the last 4 to 5 years finding interesting opportunities where we could leverage our deep expertise in gaming and repurpose that in modeling and simulation across a host of different solutions for clients like the Air Force Academy, Air Combat Command, Agile Battle Lab, 71st Training Wing, and a host of others. So this is who we are and what we do. What I'm really want to do talk about a little bit is about you and your entrepreneurial journey and where you're thinking of going. And I really wanted to try to address some things that aren't I think aren't really spoken to in this entrepreneurial journey. When I think about becoming an entrepreneur, there are really four areas that I think you have to be thinking about. It's why and what you bring to the table, what your offering is, what the opportunity, especially in GovCon out there, and then what support you can get. My experience has been is that everywhere you go to talk about being an entrepreneur, it's all on the last category, support. It's all like, let me tell you how to build that company. Let me tell you how to fill out this contract form. Let me tell you how to hire employees. Let me tell you how to pay your taxes. You know what? It's helpful stuff. It's enormously valuable, and there's a ton of it out there. There's also quite a bit out there if you're thinking about doing work with the government, about finding government contracts. Where I think a lot of these materials, a lot of these talks fall short is no one ever really talks about and helps you explore what you might bring to the table. So everyone says, hey, I can tell you how to get your business started, get you ready to go and help you find that first government contract. And you're like, wait, hold up. I don't even know what I want to do yet. Or I don't even know exactly, I have an idea, but I don't know if it's worth it. Like, I don't know if anyone would pay for it. I don't know how I'd price it. I don't know how I would explain my solution to anyone. So what I wanted to do with today's conversation is to really tap on that a little bit, really help people crack the case of, man, I've got these ideas, I have these possibilities. I really think I want to be an entrepreneur. I got to put some framework around it. And so that's what we're going to explore a little bit today with a GovCon flavor, with a government contracting flavor, because there's enormous opportunity in GovCon in just a host of different areas. And we'll talk about all of them. So the first piece to all of this is, to me, and I don't think we spend enough time talking about it, is why in the world you would want to be an entrepreneur. And I say that because it's so easy if you go to a conference or you go to an event or you go anywhere and they talk about being an entrepreneur. Everyone's like, it's so great. It's an amazing thing. It's the entrepreneur cheerleading team. And that's great. And you need some of that. But the fact is, most people leaving the military will not become entrepreneurs. In fact, the vast majority of Americans will never become an entrepreneur. The reason for that is because the challenges to be an entrepreneur, technical challenges, business challenges, legal challenges, personal and emotional challenges are enormous. They're just enormous. And so the first thing I say is, the first thing I ask people is, why on earth do you want to be an entrepreneur? And you know what? You should be able to articulate that, and it should be something that you can say to yourself with great conviction. So I think back to my own experience way back when I was leaving the Air Force years ago in 99. Holy cow, that was a long time ago on active duty. I was out in San Francisco, and I didn't know what to do. And I got a job offer with the General Services Administration. And you know what? It was a pretty good job. Paid pretty good, had great locality pay, nice office, part of downtown San Francisco. I wouldn't have to move, so I was already stationed in San Francisco. And I turned it down. And I turned it down not because I was going to run off and become an entrepreneur. I didn't do that for another 20 years. But I turned it down because I realized there were just so many other things I wanted to explore in my life, so many things I wanted to try. And I went off and ultimately got a job with DuPont in one of their manufacturing facilities. I'm like, this is totally different than what I've done before. If you are thinking about being an entrepreneur, one of the drivers I think needs to be that sense of adventure, that desire to, you know what, I'm going to do something that I haven't done before. I want to live well outside my comfort zone. If that isn't you, if that doesn't tell your personal story, you might want to think really hard about whether, hey, is being an entrepreneur really for me? Is running my own business being for me? But here's the great thing. Today, and we've all heard this, right? We've heard the term side gig, right? No one says you got to quit your job, mortgage your house, sell your car, live on ramen to start your business. In fact, I tell you, absolutely under no circumstances should you do that. To the extent you have any ideas, any possible product or service you can offer and keep working at the same time, then you know what? That's the plot. That's a bet. Because we're going to talk a little about how you can validate whether your ideas make sense, whether there's a market, where they can be priced, whether anyone will pay you for the product and service that you might want to offer. And then the other thing I threw in here just has to do a little bit about money. And I put it in here because I think, in my experience, entrepreneurs are to some extent coin operate. It's not that they are solely greedy and that that's the only thing they want in life is money. But one of the things that being an entrepreneur can offer you, if you can have success, is somewhat of an unlimited upside. You go work for someone and you do a really good job for that company, you might get a really nice bonus. But you probably know what that bonus pool is before the year even starts. One of the interesting things about being an entrepreneur is there is an opportunity, if things break your way, if you are able to learn the lessons of all the mistakes you're going to make over the course of the years that you might do this, there is an interesting opportunity for upside you will not find anywhere else. You will not find it in government service. You will not find it as an employee. You will not find it in a Fortune 500. You won't even find it as an executive at a big company, even if the salaries are very good. There's an interesting opportunity here that just doesn't exist. There's also, I think, an interesting opportunity as veterans. And I've got some interesting metrics here. But it's interesting that about veterans, what is it, about 9-10% of businesses are run by veterans. That equals about the population. And I don't think it shows up on this. Veterans have a higher success rate. One of the reasons for that is startups founded later in life are more likely to succeed. Let me say that again because it goes against the grain. Startups founded by experienced people have a higher success rate. Now, Silicon Valley, television, they're all full of all these people who are like 20 years old and they've started these companies and they've had crazy success, and that's great. And if you are 20, I'm not telling you not to start a business. In fact, there is one advantage of being that young is that you have nothing to risk. You have no risk, and that's great. That's why you see so much of it. But my experience has been those companies don't typically succeed. They don't typically succeed because there are simply so many unknown unknowns that those founders are faced with. From the basic blocking and tackling of business to the fundamentals of how do you hire and motivate and lead people. Every person on this call who's been a non-commissioned officer or above is more capable of running a team than probably any entrepreneur coming out of any of the top business schools. Full stop. That's my take.
I love that.
That's my take. And it doesn't mean that those people coming out of those top schools aren't immensely talented. It doesn't mean they don't have powerful networks. It doesn't mean they can't raise lots of money. But there is a reason that for many of these young entrepreneurs, they put a senior person with them as the chief financial officer, as the chief operating officer, as a chief administrative officer. Yes, Mark Zuckerberg is still the CEO of Facebook, but his investors surrounded him with senior people, right? Keep him as the visionary, put senior people around him. So you have an opportunity to succeed in what I might describe as the blocking and tackling of running a business. What that means is, as you think about your business idea, service or product offering, consulting, you have an interesting opportunity to win that's simply service-driven, that's simply performance-driven, that's simply delivering things on time. You say, what do you mean? What I mean by that is I have a colleague in CEO Circle. He is a retired NCO. His business is janitorial services. He is growing like gangbusters, absolutely killing it. Is it because he offers janitorial services that are more innovative? Probably not. More technically sophisticated? Probably not. Do his people show up on time, and does he run a tight ship so that he delivers janitorial services as needed, when needed? Yeah, exactly. It's all about execution excellence.